Oteter, Lama Lisora, Nina Tabate, Kingaroto, Kichikidis.
So it is important that carrying through this supplication prayer to the Just Lama in this way.
Gender Toronto, Samoton, Chishon Casena, Kakotu, then they say at the Yavodus.
So then every time that thinking in accordance with the Dharma and try to turn your mind towards the Dharma, it is just very good.
Karetana, Toronto. Banjoroki Karayana, Bother Chicken, it did Michi, Renore, Yena, Tattoo, Sendilena, Dea Tovati, Tetramazu. The legend to Chamber Maguaji, Sonjago to be cheddar, as a mibat, son of sword of the terror.
So it is because that this life somehow, whatever the finance, however it can be worked out, but more important is that relating with this practice, through which that in this lifetime also just more happier, and then ultimately that one could do just attain enlightenment, so that one not necessarily have to wander in these 6 realms every time. So all these practices, if one can just practice in accordance or properly, and then each and every single practices has a complete path to liberation. So whether one could really just liberate or not, or follow that kind of path or not, it is completely depend upon oneself.
Mambo di she, what the nation or Yabores, Chile part, Losana, Chess, Dogu now, then.
So even one know lots of Dharma, educating oneself also good, but or even one just concentrate on one single practice and then carry through it, that way it become more stable. For example, like just supplicating prayer to great compassionate Alokeshwara, and then constantly accumulating Om Mani Padme Hum. Through that also one can just accomplish. And similar like that, even one just visualize and meditate on Vajrasattva Buddha, and then again just accumulate the number mantra, it is also same. And also like supplicating to Amitabha Buddha and then chanting Om Mani Devari, and that also one can have the same result. And then also practicing on like texture and tekel, just based on this path, independently one can just liberate.
Travani, Moni, Yatendicayo, Hisamare, the message Karenda Karedus, he got categories.
So one time that in Tibet, the previous Penor Rinpoche, in Kham, there is a place called Rachap. Then there were 2 monks, they are not very intelligent, a little bit kind of silly or dull. So then they asked Rinpoche that what we can do, the kind of best practice.
The Tormo is only Giles on the General. Daughter Shadow Nagel Solis, she told daughter, then mother Tusigia, they thought Nagel Solis.
And then that Penor Rinpoche said to one monk that there is that liberation through touch, that from the 180 practice. There were about 10 pages, and asked him, you just only chant this prayer. And then to another monk told that you just only accumulate 100 syllable mantra. And from that onward, they just constantly carried through that, that practice, and they did supplication and continued with that. And these two monks passed away when I was very young. And that monk who was chanting the tactile, that liberation through touch, that when just he died, and then he sit into like a meditation, and there are rainbows, just everything was fine. And then the other one who was chanting that 100 syllable mantra, that when cremated, and then of course there are rainbows, but that there is a relics about like a 1 kg. So they don't know much any other just chantings and prayers and other practices, but then just whatever the Lama told to do, and then supplicating to Lama and carry through this practice, so one could have that result. So if oneself has that devotion, faith, and then the inclination towards the Dharma, then in the Dzogchen there is about 6,400,000 those verses. Each and every individual is a complete path that can just liberate. And then if we have doubts, then any time that there is no way that can accomplish anything. So that is why I'm telling every time, just over and over, or not to have those doubts or hesitation, and have determination, and then continue to practice. So with this thinking, with this Dharma can benefit or not, or accomplish or not, there is no any benefit. These all Dharma teachings and practices are that taught by all these realized beings, that how they went through the process of the practice, and then have realization, and have the complete sign. And other than that, it is not like a just somebody merely compose it. So, although you all are just, the way of doing practice, thinking, it is just good, but still just have to do still more better. Every time that to just develop and to become better and better, it is just important, not becoming worse and worse.
Control
so when any kind of like a afflicted mind arises or like anger, and then if you just follow in that way, and then that just one does not have the real path, so there is the Dharma does not become an antidote for that.
No, Papa, so to send them lanky, it's also due to land children. And I shall just send them about the land, Timothy sing and here the control long so just send them Hillel and Nemo Mounds. They did also send the shake.
So, we are every morning just receiving the Bodhisattva vow, and also you can just receive and practice, every now and then. And so, for example, like, receiving the Bodhisattva vow, and then, when somebody just says a bad word to you, and you cannot just control yourself, and then, the receiving Bodhisattva vow could not become a just antidote. So at that time, one have to think and apply into practice. So whenever that negative emotions or the afflicted mind, when it arises, at that time, then one have to apply the, just antidote. Otherwise, just normally you are just saying, oh, I will not let it just, follow the command of, afflicted mind and just, just sitting there, not necessarily it can benefit.
Lama Soreki returning some to you do it in the gas, you do it. Cars and a two will be shaded and moments, control pay long years. The daylight and Zebba then come dancing, the day is Zebba guns, Flojon knows that the shake years.
Even in the ancient time, that some lamas who do retreat in the forest, then they also sometimes have like a monkey as a pet animal, because just monkey is always very funny, and then kind of creates lots of just action, and that somehow it sometimes makes you angry. So that way, just lama can just practice on patience, just having all those.
Gase yena yere sele gase rong peshe se nyangso lentuna ye
monkeys, because all these afflicted minds are just very strong and arising at any moment.
Control on them and Yamo Bache did captain Nemo don't to Mato, Caronetti in Selipema Germans.
So that whenever that the affliction, the negative emotion or that passion, when it arises, at that moment one have to just apply the antidote. Otherwise, it is not that much useful.
Nemo so long on the tea captain, this long at the control on the Pagale. Dina Zevasha, Nina around then Flojon says, Chu Nyansulensi, then I regular, the gosh is such it is.
So when we do the practice, when that object somehow become a condition to give rise to all these afflictions, then instead of becoming angry, you should have that sense of loving, and also just know that is the object of support of your practice. In this way, one have to understand. And in that way, when you just try to work, and if that antidote works, then you are just you are following the Dharma practice. And when somebody makes you angry, and then you also become just very angry, and then that knowing the Dharma, there is no much benefit. So, of course, in the beginning, give rise to anger and so forth. But if one apply with the mindfulness, and then conscientiousness, and then just watching one's self, then there is a way, just slowly one get trained in this way. So even then, sometimes one give rise to anger or so other afflictions, then immediately do confess, and that thinking, oh, I just could not control my anger, confess, and then try to purify. And also just think from this onward, I will never do like that, and make a commitment. And in this way, if you try to work and think, then slowly you can just really do it. And when somebody harms to you, then as a practitioner, that it is just usually really beneficial to really continue one's practice and carry through that just antidote. It will just really help. It does not really harm at all. For example, some people just say that, oh, I'm just doing my best with the bodhicitta and bodhisattva practice, but still sometimes this guy just took so much money from me, and now never just return back, and I'm become so angry, I feel very just difficult in that way. Just some people just express. And then sometimes they say there is no way I can just generate bodhicitta to this guy. And that way then oneself is just breaking the bodhisattva vow. So the actual practice is, however a person just be mean and harm you, still just one have to generate loving kindness, and then continue. Even you cannot just help this lifetime, but still in many other lifetimes that you can be beneficial in that way.
Lama Shivu Tsedong Demba Denon Chiri Genin, Bajuri Genin, Rangi Gatin, and there are Yagi Sungiris.
Those the Lama, however, just the very highly realized or good Lamas, that whether it is Dharma or whether any other thing, it is important to have that kind of connection.
Lama
So even one could not have a kind of more positive relationship with the Lama than worse to worse. Even one just have a just kind of negative relationship. Also just still good.
The Lama Kale Tundamra Shega Neka Ronso the Kovale Nason the Chando Gravas, the Ina Lama Tegi, Sonju Sembarva Tegi, Tuchi Sim to Gravas.
So, creating any kind of negative karma relating with the Lama that just this lifetime, based on that, karma action, one may just wander in the, just samsara, but still, that with that relationship, Lama just, still, just take care of it.
Lama Yabo to the Deva race on the Lama Tegi Kadijo, Pento Vajiremato. Nekabda, the wrong language of Badremado Tatu, they were Tokuris.
So that having good or bad relationship with the Lama, that even this lifetime creating negative action, that maybe just have to bear the result. But ultimately, still that one can receive some benefit from the Lama because of that, bodhicitta of the Lama. It says, there is a saying that the positive relationship is like a that one could liberate from the, one could attain enlightenment. And having a negative relationship, that which is the endless wandering in samsara. So all those sentient beings who never met with this, Dharma, in that way, just that they wander in the samsara like a limitless lifetimes. And those who have a relationship with the Dharma, then there is an end for their, samsara. So that is why that as an individual, being, there is an end of the samsara, but in general, maybe there is no end of the samsara. So just without any exception, that in samsara and attain enlightenment, maybe it is difficult. But each and every individual, when one just get it through all this Dhamma practice, doing practice properly, then one attains, enlightenment. That way there is the individual end of the samsara. So then even yesterday, Tungse Tilen Rinpoche came and then he also gave all these teachings. And Tungse Rinpoche, he is really happy with you guys.
America
and not same like any other Americans that here, and they all are just kind of like a very tamed and very just humble. And we are also thinking you guys are pretty good. And then Tungse Rinpoche also said that just you all are doing very good, so he was also happy. So even if you examine those who are not have any relationship or connection with the dharmas, then their way of talking and coming and the act is, of course, something different. Of course, they have so great, ego. So you all that somehow we explain every time, just give teaching, and then you are also working. So in that way, it seems like you are good. So there is an example like the ego or the pride, which is like a ball of iron, that there is no way anything that can be just content on it, any kind of quality. So that the iron ball that even you just threw into water, that there is no way it can contain any water there. So the pride or the ego, as you think, I'm great, I'm good to a scholar, and just the good practitioner, then because of that pride or the ego, it's difficult to really receive any more, just qualities or education. And then even just explain about the history of Dharma, then one may just increase one's ego or become more angry. Thank you very much. You guys are very good. So now today for the Zalung students and then the first year Dzogchen have teaching, so rest you all can leave for your practice.